Hello, everyone. This is William Cunningham of My Hope in Marriage. You can visit My Hope in Marriage online at www.myhopeinmarriage.com. And My Hope in Marriage is a platform designed to provide you insight and my knowledge, the things that I've learned in over 37 years of marriage and studying marriage relationships to help you forge a happy and fulfilling marriage, and even more than that, a happy and fulfilling life, okay, regardless of the state of your marriage. Because the reality is there's some marriages that are really good. The couple are in tune with each other. They have a great, strong emotional connection, and of course, they'll have a strong commitment. And you have some that aren't. That the emotional connection is absent. They don't really love each other or whatnot, and that's a big problem. So, with that said, here's what I'd like to bring up. All right, here's something. What do you do? Let's think about this. What do you do? This is what I want to talk about. What do you do when you have to, look yourself in the mirror and then come to grips with the fact that you do not love your spouse anymore? Not that you don't want to, it's just that situation after situation, the things that you've had to deal with year after year and so forth, had just caused your love bank to be empty. There's a concept called the love bank. It was one of the books I read. I forget. But anyway, the love bank is as you have positive, and this is true with anything, as you have positive experiences in the relationship because of your spouse, then you'll tend to have positive feelings towards your spouse. It'll just kind of build up. And then you might have a negative encounter. Yeah, that'll bring it down a little bit, but it won't cut it off per se. Now, if you keep having negative experiences, you're going to start thinking negatively about him, as you would in anything else. If you buy a new car and all of a sudden, and not all of a sudden, but you have to constantly take it to the shop because it's broke, then you're going to start having a negative feeling, a negative perception of that vehicle, and maybe even that brand, or maybe even the model or whatever. Okay, and it's the same thing. What do you do when you realize, I don't feel for her? Let's talk about from the man's perspective, because that's easy. I don't feel for her like I used to. Back in the day, we used to hold hands, we used to cuddle, we used to kiss and so forth. And now I don't even want to be around her. I don't even want to we don't really talk about anything unless the kids are around. There's nothing really for us to get involved with because we're just not together anymore. We're roommates. How many of you feel that your marriage, you're roommates instead of soulmates? There are lots and lots of people who are in a roommate marriage relationship, and that's unfortunate. Okay, because in a roommate situation, you're not emotionally connected. And somewhere along the line, it didn't happen, instantaneously. It didn't happen. It was a gradual decline in that emotional connection till you've gotten to the point where you realize, hey, I don't feel for her anymore, or I don't feel for him anymore. I don't have that lovely feeling, that princess get rescued by the prince or whatever. I don't have those gooey feelings towards her anymore. What do you do? I mean, some people would say divorce, but no, because first of all, that feeling is fickle. It comes and goes. There's an ebook that I have called What Happens to Love in Marriage. Get that. I go into details about this very thing. What happens to love in marriage, because love is just, you have two types. Let me just summarize. You have two kinds of love. You have the love where you have this emotional connection, this romantic type stuff. Emotional, called emotional love. You're romantic. That's where you have the physical touch, you have sex, you have smooching or whatever, and you have that connection, the infatuation, how good a feeling it is to lust for your wife, knowing you're going to be fed, or if you know what I mean, or your husband, you expect to be fed, if you will, or you expect to be fed, but now you don't have that anymore. You go to bed at different times. You don't really spend any time together, and it's just really bad, and that's unfortunate. But like I said, that's fickle. It's fickle. It can change. You can restore that romantic feeling, but both have to want it. All right, because if only one wants it, pursuing it's just going to make it worse. The Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. So what do you do? Well, you got to make some decisions. Honestly, life is not about the emotional connection with your wife or your husband. You have to realize that. Number two, ensure your own happiness. Ensure your own fulfillment. Okay, at this point, it looks like it may not come from your spouse, but at the same time, don't allow that to hinder you from pursuing your own dreams, your own personal dreams. It's great when your spouse is with you, by your side, helping you. For the husbands, your wife doing that, because biblically, the wife is the helper of the husband. All right, the wife is the helper of the husband. When that doesn't happen, you have issues. All right, and the guy will take it a certain way. The wife may not even realize it. She may be totally oblivious that she's not fulfilling a godly purpose for the wife, and that is to be a helper, a companion for her husband. But in so many situations, the two become roommates. They live separate lives. She's not helping him. She's not by his side, cheering him on, helping him where she could. All right? She's off doing her own thing. She's off making her own money, making her own successes. And yes, she may come and share some of that with you. Maybe she'll contribute to a new deck or whatnot, but still, she's doing her thing. You're doing your thing. All right? And you should be together. So what do? Don't dwell on that. It's a craving that we have to want to be loved, to love and want to be loved, to want to be accepted, to want to be desired. But if your spouse isn't doing it, there's not really much you can do about that. So don't fret it. Go on with your life. Stay tuned. Learn. Maybe there's something you can do. Maybe she's responding to something you're doing, and she doesn't realize it. Maybe she's operating in a mode that she doesn't realize she's operating in. So you have to be understanding. You have to be patient. But I heard you. I heard what you just said. I've been patient for 15 years. All right. What do? Look, I can't tell you what to do as far as the specifics in your situations, but I can tell you, you have to pursue what's good for you. It's your life. It's your life. I would recommend that you sit down and have a heart-to-heart discussion, because maybe she's going through something too and just not talking. Some people just don't communicate, and you just don't know until you can kind of dig it out of them. But sit down and have a heartfelt, discussion. Let her know how you feel. Now, I know you don't want to make yourself too vulnerable, because let's say from a guy's perspective, she's already rejected you for so many years and you just don't want to be bothered anymore. But you got to be bothered, but you also have to have this balance, because if you pursue her accepting you, I'll just call it her accepting you, loving you, and so forth, and it just doesn't happen, you just get sicker and you just make it worse. So I would say, work on yourself. And when I say work on yourself, I'm not talking about, you hear a lot of marriage counseling things say, which I hate, because they make it seem like it's the guy's fault. It's the guy. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to groom yourself. You have to, not paint your face, but you have to groom yourself. You have to put it on deodorant. You have to do this. You got to be sensitive to her needs. You have to, all this. It's true, but it goes both ways, man. She has to learn. She has to come to the table with something. We got to stop simping out to our wives. Guys, don't simp out to your wives. If you don't want something, you don't want it. Now, yes, sometimes you may compromise. I know she really wants this, so I'll go along. But you don't want to make that a habit of just giving in to whatever she wants. You got to stand your ground. Look, I don't want to do that, so I'm not doing it. She probably won't have any problems doing that. And I'm sure, it's vice versa. But you don't love your spouse anymore. Don't let that drive you to depression. Don't let that, and you got to be careful, because it's easy to want to lock on to somebody else to get that affection that your spouse isn't giving you. Because now if you go that route, you're going to open up a whole new can of worms. It may feel good for a little while, but you're going to open up a whole can of worms, and you're really going to almost make it impossible for that situation to get better. All right? So what do? I tell you, as I tell people, guys, all the time, is take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself. Look at magazines. What do you want? What do you want? If your wife doesn't want to be with you, then okay. Or if your husband don't want to be with you, then okay. All right? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do about your life? It's your life. You only go once. Once a second goes by, that's gone forever. Are you going to spend all these seconds remaining in your life worrying about how your spouse feels about you? Sure, you should be concerned about it and perhaps do something about it, what's in your control. But you cannot allow yourself to get down in the dumps, upset, angry, because she won't have sex with you. And we haven't had sex in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. A lot of guys would have said, I'm out. I'm done with this. They would have headed towards separation or divorce. And, you really can't blame them, because if you're not married, why be married? Okay, if you're not married, if you're not a couple, why be a couple? If you're just two roommates, what do you need to be married for that? Okay? So you might get to a point, or you probably are, some of you are at the point where you just look at your spouse, husbands look at their wife and they're like, why did I do it? Why did I do it? Why did I do it? Okay? Because that's where the marriage went. And maybe you had some say-so in that. You didn't stand up when you should have stood up, and you allowed her. I'll tell you something. One of the biggest mistakes that I made in my marriage, I think it is the biggest mistake. Okay, and some guys will say, well, no, my biggest mistake was I got married. But one of the biggest mistake that I made was to follow my wife. I was really feeling down on myself. I don't know why. like God wasn't even talking to me, God left me, I wasn't hearing from God. All this kind of stuff was going through my whole system. And my wife would be like, oh, I received in prayer this and I received in the spirit that. And I'm like, why isn't God telling me that? Well, I learned because he wasn't. He didn't say those things. All right. And all that stuff where I followed her turned into dust. It was a waste of time, a waste of a lot of money. And I kicked myself. And in the end, in prayer, what I received from God was simply, you're the head. You be the head then. God didn't abandon me. I just felt weird for a few years. Okay? So I would encourage you to get the ebook, What Happens to Love and Marriage. Understand that. Okay? And really communicate with your spouse. I know you said, you might have done it 1,000 times already, but just try, one more time or 2 more times, whatever, according to what you think, according to your situation. But above all, pursue the happiness in your own life. Pursue the goodness that you want, morally, legally, of course. Pursue that. Gain that. All right? Because not everything in life is pleasant. We don't like everything we do, no matter what. And sometimes for some people, marriage is part of that. All right? So I would encourage you, especially the guys, man, do what you like. Make your life a fulfilling one, a happy one. Pray that things will turn around with your spouse. Or for those who have a good one, pray that it will just get better, so forth and so on. All right? All right, I just want to leave you with that to help encourage, especially the guys, and to leave you with, if I have a takeaway, don't sip out to your wife. Stop sipping out so much. Just giving in to her so much. Don't allow how you feel about her or him, for the wives, to dictate how you feel about your life. Because some people can get so depressed about the situation that they're ready to end their lives, and that's not good. Your life should not revolve around what somebody else thinks of you. All right. So so just do that. Enjoy your life as best you can. Pursue a fulfilling life, a happy life, regardless of who's with you, if your spouse is with you or whatever. All right. Just do it. All right. All right, I hope that blesses you. I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, just, of course, leave a comment. You can visit on the website, My Hope in Marriage, at www.myhopeinmarriage.com. And until the next time, you know what? Be blessed. Be fulfilled.